Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing the topic which we discussed on the basic assumption, I thought in this session I will share my own life's experience. Because when we talk about some theory, people feel that how does it apply to real life? So there are few characteristics that we have discussed. So many people are keenly interested to know that let's have a practical anecdote of the application of some of these thoughts regarding the positive thinking and positive frame of mind. So just to share some of very personal information with you, I was very pessimistic and a kind of a person who is always very closed, and then I was not a very, extroverted kind of a person. So I always feared that things will go wrong in life, and that's the way I was wired in my childhood because of the various upbringing and the circumstances in which I grew up. So when I was in the middle age or in my late 20s, etc., I always felt that life is going to be a very tough experience and it's not going to be that easy to make it up. So I just wanted to share with you that your current state in which your thought processes are, or the way in which you are wired, can always be altered at will as long as you are keenly interested to change your own life pattern. Because many masters have said in the past that your thought ultimately becomes a reality. So the quality of thought becomes very important, because thought becomes a reality because everyone is trying to start thinking in a particular direction, and then that is converted in the form of a real life. So going forward, I want to give you some perspective which I spoke in the pragmatic leadership context. Some of the aspects which has really helped me to both progress in my material life as well as in my spiritual pursuits. So I thought I will use this anecdote to share with you. One of the aspects of the daredevil people who made a big difference to mankind is actually going beyond their circle of concern. So I didn't know this during my middle ages, that one can probably play beyond their, the role of circle of concern in which they generally operate. A circle of concern is what is there in it for me, and why do I need to do it, what will I get out of it, and become more selfish is what is actually circle of concern really means. So when I came to know about this, which is limiting my own progress in my official context and the career, I started taking interest on things which I don't know, or an opportunity forthcoming which is organizational development related kind of an opportunity. So I always started showing interest on things beyond my functional boundaries. For example, I grew up in the design and technology area, but I started showing interest in manufacturing, trying to show interest in purchasing, sourcing, vendor development, and so on and so forth. So suddenly I found my career started expanding more positively. People wanted me more and more, and then they want to give me assignments which is far beyond the scope of my job description. So this way of going beyond the circle of concern, I started becoming more prominent in the eyes of the decision makers, who spotted me as this guy is a potential candidate for taking up any kind of a new assignments. I grew up in Lucas TVS, which is the TVS family owned company, which is one of the largest kind of private limited company which has grown in leaps and bounds over the several decades. So it's a very highly principle centered organization in which for anyone to grow beyond a certain level, he has to be very proficient and his attitude has to be right and so on and so forth. So this habit of going beyond my boundaries without saying, no, no, why should I play beyond this boundary, has phenomenally helped me to grow in my career. And I was opted for all change leadership programs and the organizational development initiatives, and more I was needed for majority of the organizational change management. So when I came to Crompton Greaves, I came with an enormous amount of skill sets. I came to Bombay and then took up the job in Crompton Greaves on early 90s. And I found there are many areas needs to be fixed far beyond the scope of the manager position I have taken. So I started going beyond my boundaries and started bringing transformation in the vendor management and the quality management and many other areas. I acquired skills from Lucas TVS. So although I joined as a quality assurance manager, I very rapidly grew and took over design and technology, then became the head of technology as well as product development and so on. So, and then subsequently when the change leadership program came for organizational leadership, I was opted for one of those change leaders. Of course, I left and started my own consulting firm. So the point I'm trying to make is, when I took the attitude going beyond my circle of concern and playing farther areas of no concern, has phenomenally helped me to grow in my stature as well as in the organizational positions. The second aspect that we spoke about is on the possibility thinking. So I was a very negatively programmed person and I always used to think that things will go wrong and there is something bad is going to happen in life and so on and so forth. I was not a possibility thinker. So when I did my self-development during the course of my upbringing as well as during the course of my middle ages, I read the book Power of Positive Thinking by Vincent Norman Peale and then many other kind of such self-development books. I realized that life can offer much more when you become a possibility thinker. Always try to see the brighter side of life and take things in a very positive manner and discourage all negative thoughts in your mind. So Dr. Wayne Dyer has written several self-development books which are really helping a lot in terms of grooming the possibility thinking. So possibility thinking, when I really embraced, I started always looking for the futuristic aspects of life. And there are several anecdotes I can quote for you. At the age of 39, I left my job from Lucas TVS in a very senior level position in Chennai. And then I just boarded the train and then came to Bombay with the 20,000 rupees. And then made my life in this wonderful city in many different ways. So what's most important I found is thinking about the future and always experimenting with certain possibilities made a big difference. At the age of 49, I decided that I'm not going to wait for retirement because I hate retirement. There's nothing called retirement because you can contribute very significantly in terms of upbringing of the society or probably the country in which you are living and so on and so forth. That's why recently I saw in the news channel that vast majority of the leaders in America are all in the age of 75 plus. The youngest man is 74 years old and the oldest person is 92 years old when he was very actively leading certain countries' responsibility. So there is nothing called retirement because you become very wise with lots of wisdom and experience. With the result, you will be able to contribute to the mankind much better at any particular age. So this is one of the aspects of the possibility thinking I always encouraged. And at the age of 49, I just left my job, although there were a lot of responsibilities which needed a monthly salary for me. And I wanted to establish a global consulting company. It will be very crazy for someone to leave at the age of 50 and then try to become an entrepreneur. So I established this institution in the last 21 years, handing over the baton to my children who are having the same passion for taking this organization forward. So when you are really passionate about future, it becomes contagious. So obviously you influence a lot of people to think about the future and the possibility thinking. So still I want to radiate exuberance and share my thoughts and experiences with the people as much as I can. So possibility thinking is one of the most important aspect which I spoke about, which has really made a big difference to my life, and future oriented, which I have already explained. The last aspect is may appear to be very philosophical for you, which is nothing matters. So I happened to listen to one of the masters who spoke about nothing matters. I'm not mentioning the name of the master because the moment you mention the name of the master who said this, people try to evaluate the person instead of the content. So nothing matters really is a very philosophical way of looking at the whole life. I have spoken about it in a big way in one of my videos in the past, in the theory of happiness. Nothing matters is nothing but a paradigm from which you try to see that the whatever you do or whatever you fail to do in life, at the end of the day, even if you are going to achieve something phenomenally outstanding, still the happiness going to last for very few hours or few days. So really coming from the paradigm that do everything for the sake of, that means you are destined to do it with a wholehearted manner without having a kind of an attachment that the result has to be this way. So that is the philosophy of nothing matters. So when you are trying to do everything with the context of this attitude of nothing matters, you become very effective. In fact, the whole essence of Bhagavad Gita is essentially nothing matters. So the whole concept of karma theory is you are destined to do your karma, and you can do only that what you are doing right now. Like recording of this video and sharing my thoughts with you, I can't be doing anything else. So I'm just doing this with the context of nothing matters. So at the end of the day, the people who are going to listen to this, are they going to accept what I am saying, or they will reject what I am saying, whether they will apply what I am saying, etc. is totally immaterial for me. Because at this point in time, I am supposed to share this with you. Probably 1 in million probably may get a spark in their mind, and then it may transform their life. So what is very important is when you are very, very preoccupied with the result, it should matter to me and people should accept and they should listen to me and so on and so forth, then you don't become very effective. So at the end of the day, what really matters in life is doing things with a wholehearted happiness. Exuberance is more important than what kind of a result it produces. One of the examples the master has given is that they are building a dam thinking that it is going to make a big difference to the mankind, but the water seem to have subdued, and then it is trying to obey the people by stopping there near the dam. But how long the dam will stay there? Maybe 100 years, 200 years, and someday the water will find its way of completely washing away the dam. So that means you will find in spirituality there is a wonderful statement which is called a reality. A reality is nothing but something existed in the past, that exists now, that will exist in the future. I think all the material objects that we are seeing right now are all doesn't qualify to be real because they didn't exist in the past, they exist now, they will not exist in the future. That includes all the human beings like me. So all the people who came in this planet, be it might have been a great prophet or a great scientist or whoever it is, they all become a topsoil, as what Sadhguru always used to say. So what is most important is the life itself is a very brief experience, very transient in nature. That means it will keep on rolling on, whether you like it or not. You cannot stop the time and then store it. So the events will keep on happening, and depending upon your state of mind, you react to the event positively or negatively, and you keep on processing lots of negative thoughts and negative emotions, and you are suffering for no reasons. So the suffering of two kinds: one is really you are destined to suffer and hence you are suffering. The other one is you are suffering because you are putting yourself into suffering, which is not a reality. So what is most important is when you are coming from the concept of nothing matters, you will phenomenally do many things in your life which has got a tremendous amount of results that's forthcoming. So I started cultivating this habit of doing everything with the philosophy of nothing matters. So I became very effective in my talks or in my lecture or in my sharing my thoughts or spreading happiness or whatever it might be. So I'm not worried about the consequences and then the kind of a result it will produce. As in summary, as Lord Krishna said, that do your duty and the result will take care of itself. So it's extremely important to understand these are the aspects which are not empty theories, but they have phenomenal material value. Thank you very much. I hope this session of sharing my own personal life would have given you some kind of a perspective for taking your life forward. Thank you very much for your patient listening. God bless you with a wonderful, healthy and happy life. Take care.